Do not desire her beauty in your heart. In other words, look, the adulterer, I'm talking to the guys. Look, the adulterer is not going to be some old sea hag. She's going to be very beautiful. And you're going to want to desire her beauty in your heart. But but wisdom is saying, don't do it. She's very beautiful, but don't desire her beauty in your heart.
Preach the word and none of that hate gon' work. Hold up. Now I don't know what you heard, but don't believe anyone that can't show you the word.
Right. We're going through the book of Proverbs. Now, why Proverbs? Actually, with you guys, I was going through the book of Revelation, and I said, you know what? It's a very important book. Especially in these times, we need the book of Revelation. But I've come to the conclusion that it's not. All scripture is profitable, but a book that we need is the book of wisdom. We need wisdom. What's the point of you knowing about who Jesus is and heaven and hell and the 1,000-year reigns and all that if you're struggling through life? Your marriage is struggling, your health is struggling, your finance is struggling. What good is it if you know all these biblical teachings and yet your life is a mess? So we need to make sure that we get wisdom. And the book of Proverbs gives us wisdom. All right, give me the slide. Okay, now when we go to the book of Proverbs, this is like my little index. This is what you're going to need in order to go through the book of Proverbs, because there's 3 types of people in the book of Proverbs. There's the wise person, the first one. He understands. He knows what the book says, and he applies it. It's not just enough to understand it. You got to apply it. So that's the wise man. The fool, he knows better. He understands. But he doesn't apply it. And then because he doesn't apply it, he suffers for it. All right, so that's the fool. Now, within the fool category, there's 2 subcategories. There's a mocker and a scorner. They're basically the same, but it's just their attitude. The mocker, they laugh at the wise. They're like, you're Mr. Goody Two Shoes, Bible thumping. You're a fool. That's the mocker. The scorner will say the same thing, but they disdain you. Like, oh, you're one of those goody two shoes, Mr. Holy Roller. They have a disdain. But they're under the category of fool. But this is my issue right here, the simple. Because to be honest with you, a lot of believers, they're very simple. They might believe in the Lord Jesus. They might believe in his death, burial, and resurrection. But other than that, they have nothing. And this is what a simple person is. They don't have knowledge. In other words, they don't know what this book says. They have no clue. But here's the thing. They're either naive, gullible, ignorant. But this is the problem. Yet they suffer the same fate as a fool. See, you got to understand. We read in Proverbs 1, the woman wisdom, if you don't have wisdom, she's going to punish you. Whether you had wisdom and you're not doing it or you don't, you're going to suffer the same fate. So as believers, we want to get out of this category and come to this category. Because if you're in this category, you're going to suffer the same fate. We're going to read the next chapter where a simple person died. So we don't want to be simple. We don't want to stay simple as believers. Give me the next slide. And this is the thing. This is the mindset you got to have to the book of Proverbs. It said in Proverbs 2 verse 6, for the Lord gives wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. You got to come to this book as if God said it, it's settled. You shouldn't be fighting, because if you're fighting God, because it's from him that wisdom comes. It's not from Dr. Phil or the psychologist. It comes from him. Book, chapter, verse. There's another verse. It says, trust in the Lord with all. This is a very famous verse. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. In other words, there's going to be things in the book of Proverbs that's going to go against what you think and what you believe. Now, you have a choice. Are you going to trust God and say, you know what, God, I don't think so. I don't feel so. But you know what? If you said it, I'm going to do it. Are you going to trust in the Lord with all your heart and not lean on your own understanding? Don't come with your own opinion, your own philosophy. Just believe it and do it. So we got to have that mindset when it comes to the book of Proverbs. Because let me tell you this, the book of Proverbs is going to step on a lot of toes. You're going to get offended. But what are you going to do? Are you going to say, you know what? God knows best, or you can say, I don't think so. It's been working. It's been working out for me, and that's it. No. Trust in the Lord and do not lean on your understanding. It is the Lord who gives wisdom. From his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. Okay, so with that backdrop, that's okay. Let her be there. That's fine. So with that backdrop, we're going to go through Proverbs 6. And right off the bat, see, look, in the first few verses, there's a situation here that a lot of us get ourselves involved in, and it's out of the kindness of our heart. We think we're doing the right thing. We're like, let me tell you what it is. We're giving a loan to somebody that we know and love. We're like, you know what? What's the big deal? Doesn't God tell us to love one another? Yes, he does. But God here is warning you, don't do it. Now, if you don't have any wisdom, you would do it. And you would think you're doing the Christian thing. But remember, we got to lean not on our own understanding. All right? So here, give me the first verse. Proverbs 6, verse 1. My son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger. In other words, security means like you got good credit, and your neighbor says, you know what? I need to buy something for my house. Can you give me a $10,000 loan? He's saying, look, my son, if you have put up security for your neighbor, have given your pledge for a stranger. Next verse. If you are snared in the words of your mouth, look at what Solomon's saying. He's saying that that's a snare. Doing that, you've been snared. Caught in the words of your mouth. In other words, you told your neighbor, okay, I'll give you this loan. You've been a good neighbor, or we could say within the church, you know what, this sister's been struggling, I want her to get a house, so I'll give her my credit so she could buy a house. Next verse. Then do this, my son, and save yourself. Do you hear what Solomon's saying? He's saying if you do that, if you out of the quote unquote kindness of your heart are doing that, he's saying you got to save yourself. For you have come into the hand of your neighbor. In other words, now you're in his. If he falls, you're going to fall with him. That's how Solomon is warning his sons. Don't do this. Next verse. Give your eye no sleep and your eyelids no slumber. So in other words, you got to get out of it. Don't think. And let me testify. I remember there was a brother in our church, and he was struggling. He was a very good mechanic, and I was willing to, out of my the loans that I have, was willing to give him a loan. But then my wife, explained to me that's not a good idea to do because if he defaults and you really don't know him, and she was right. And I told him sorry, but out of the goodness of my heart, I was about to do it. But the thing is, if I knew this right back then, I wouldn't have done it at all. That's the kind, like I said, the Bible says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. God says there are his people, but they're destroyed. Why? Because they have no knowledge. And here, God's warning us, don't put up security. He said, give your eyes no sleep and your eyelids no slumber. Keep going. Save yourself like a gazelle from the hand of the hunter. That's how God sees it. When you put yourself in a place where you're allowing your credit to be extended for somebody, it's like you're like a deer and you're being hunted down. Like a bird from the hand of the fowler. Again, you're going to be trapped. But he's saying get out of it. All right? And that's why the book of Proverbs is very important. Right there. Because if you have that mindset that, oh, well, I want to do the right thing, I want to love people. No. If your neighbor comes up to you or your family member says, you know what, you got some good credit. Can I borrow so I could buy a car? I need it for, to go to work. You say no. And then you show them this verse. They can't fight it. Then you got to say, I got to obey God. God says I can't do it. God says that's a trap. So don't get into that trap. All right, next verse. Now he's going to switch and he's going to talk about lazy people. All right. He says this. Go to the ant, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. So Solomon is saying, go to the ants, go to an anthill and observe them. Now this is what he wants you to observe. Verse 7. Without any chief, officer, or ruler, she prepares her bread in the summer and gathers her food in the harvest. In other words, the ant doesn't need nobody to tell it what to do. It knows what it's supposed to do. There are things that got to be done in life that you got to do. You cannot make excuses. You got to do it. If the ants don't prepare in the summer, they're not going to have nothing for the winter. So and there's nobody telling them to do it. There's no supervisor over them, no boss, no spouse, nagging wife, nagging husband. They just do it because they know. They're like, I got to prepare. All right, next verse. How long will you lie there, O sluggard? Let me tell you something. The book of Proverbs, the most infamous position for a sluggard is lying down. They're always lying down. When will you arise from your sleep? They like to sleep a lot. All right, next verse. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest. You know what? I just need a little break. You know, I'm a little bit tired. A little sleep, just a little sleep, a little slumber. What the Psalm says? And poverty will come upon you like a robber, and your want like an armed man. So I just need a little break. You know, the Bible says God made man to work 6 days and rest on the seventh. He didn't say work 12 hours and take 12 hours off. Now let me use a lot of examples. A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding hand. You know, I'm gonna take a break. And then you wake up. Oh, I'm gonna get some milk. Oh snap! There's no milk in the fridge. A little sleep, a little slumber. You know, I'm gonna take a break. You know, I'm tired. I know I got school and everything. Oh snap! Tomorrow's a test. Oh my goodness. A little sleep, a little slumber. Little folded hands. You know what? The house, I'm just tired. I'm just going to take a break. And then poverty. Your house it'll look like a mess. Actually, later on in the book of Proverbs, give me the next thing. In Proverbs 24, look, it says a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding hands to rest. And it's the same exact verse, but he gives a story. This is Solomon giving him a story. And this is a story. It starts off him riding his chariot, and he purposely went through to the house of a sluggard. He said, let me check out this sluggard's house. He said this, I passed by the field of a sluggard, by the vineyard of a man lacking sense. So this person has no sense. And behold, now he's looking. It was overgrown with thorns. So he saw the house and there was thorns. The front yard had thorns all over it. The ground was covered with nettles. The ground, the trees sometimes drop these little things. It's all covered with nettles. And its stone wall was broken down. So the stone wall would have been like a gate. The wall is broken down. There's things they had to do maintenance. They're not even doing maintenance on it. They just like, I don't care, whatever. Then Solomon saw it and considered. And he looked and received instruction. And what did he say? A little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding hands, sleep, and poverty. He said that this right here is poverty. Will come upon you like a robber and want like an armed man. As wise people, we don't want to be even appeared to look sluggardly. I got convicted with this verse because, in my job, I used to just come in and out. But now I realize I got to maintain my station. I got to maintain the truck. Now, every morning I come in with a broom and I sweep out. Even if there's not a lot of dust, I sweep out. Because I don't want people to, now realizing, getting this understanding, when I look at somebody's truck, I know what kind of person they are. This is what basically this verse is saying. You could tell by the way their truck looks like, their house looks like. I remember there was this lady, we helped her out one time to move. And her house she had bags all over. It was a mess. And one thing she said was, don't judge me. But guess what? It was 5 years ago. That's what I remember. People will judge you by how you make your things appear. So don't think, well, you know what? I'm just tired. A little sleep, a little slumber. Your house is going to look like this guy's house. We don't want to be those type of people, okay? Next verse. Now, Simon is going to switch over. Who I call you ever heard of a snap artist? Somebody who likes to diss people. They like to clown around and talk trash. Like these comedians, like Chris Rock. I mean, he's not that extreme, but there's people that are more extreme. They have these snap contests. This is what these verses are going to talk about next. It says this: a worthless person, a wicked man, goes about with crooked speech or perverse speech. And they speak perverse things. They're always speaking perverse things. He winks with his eyes signals with his feet, points with his finger, with perverted heart devises evil. They're always like, oh yeah, man, yeah, I'm the man, let's do this. And they're always devising evil. Continually sowing discord. Those little quote unquote jokes, they're causing discord. People get offended. Just like Will Smith, he got offended. They continually, because they think it's a joke, they continually sow discord. Next verse. Therefore, calamity will come upon him suddenly, just like Chris Rock. It came upon him suddenly. He wasn't expecting Will Smith to slap him. A lot of these guys that do this, that's what happens to them. There's drive-by shootings. There's people jumping them. Calamity will come upon him suddenly. In a moment, he will be broken beyond healing. When I hear that part, broken beyond healing, I think of somebody that's paralyzed. They're in a wheelchair. They cannot be healed. And a lot of these guys, they get shot down. They might survive, but now they're broken. Now they're in a wheelchair. They can't get up. They're broken beyond healing. There's no healing for them. You don't want to be this guy that points with his finger, taps his feet, and go up. What do you do? No, verse 14. It said that he goes with corrupt speech. He winks with the eyes. He signals with his feet, points with his fingers. You don't want to be that guy because you're going to be broken. All right? Keep going. Verse 16. There are 6 things that the Lord hates. 7 are an abomination. All right? So this should be our little, wow, God hates this. So we should take this very seriously. Not overlook it and say, you know what? You do you. All right, so what are the 7 things that God hates? A proud look. All right. Now, what's a proud look? Go to the next thing. I got a gift. I remember Mussolini back in the 40s when he went to war against Italy. This is how he acted. He had that proud look. Go back up. Now, some of you might be saying, so God hates that? Just some proud look, what's so... Because it shows your arrogance. It shows what's inside your heart. Your look is coming out from your heart. Bible says God resists or opposes the proud, but he gives grace to the humble. God hates those. Go back up. Go back up. Go. He hates those that have a proud look. A lying tongue. All right. God hates liars. We should not people that lie. We should be honest people. God hates liars. And hands that shed innocent blood. AKA abortion. I'm sorry. God hates abortion. Right? And I must say this. If you support people or parties that shed innocent blood because, at least I get a stimulus. Guess what? You're a partaker with their shedding of blood. All right? Now, it could also mean like, for example, I knew this homeless guy that once told me a story that he was just minding his own business. Then some guy just started shooting at him for no reason. He had no enemies. They just wanted to kill just to kill. If he died, that person would have been guilty of shedding innocent blood. But God hates people that shed innocent blood. And God hates people that support people who shed innocent blood. And we should be a people that oppose that. Not, well, you know what, my parents supported it. And no. I remember we had a sister. And she's a beloved sister. And she was trying to justify shedding of blood. You don't want women going into alleyways and, they're using hangers. God hates those that shed innocent blood. Give me verse 18. Keep going. A heart that devises wicked plans. In other words, they're schemers. They scheme about doing wicked plans. Like, let's try to find a way to, that guy got a nice house. He probably got a safe up there. Let's try to figure out a way to, maybe when he's gone on vacation, let's go there and break in and, go around the ring. God hates those people. Feet that make haste to run to evil. In other words, somebody, they're doing crazy things, wicked things, and they run to it. Rather than say, oh no, that's wicked, get away from it. They're like, yeah. Where's that next party at? I heard this person's getting jumped. Let me get my camcorder so I could record, not even help, just record him getting beat down. God hates those people. Feet that hates to run to evil. Next verse. A false witness who breathes out lies. God hates people who breathe out lies. A false witness. They're saying something that's false. Do not bear. Bible says do not bear false witness. We're not supposed to lie. This is not lying. This is saying something that's totally off. You're a witness, and instead of standing up for the truth, you bear false witness. God hates those type of people. And the last one is one who sows discord among the brothers. There are people that come in, or even family members, and all they do is they just want to fight. There's no peace in the house. Instead of coming together and rejoicing, they always come in. They always want to fight. Whether even could be about stupid things, sports, whatever. God don't like people like that. And in the Christian church, there's nothing wrong with asking questions or trying to get understanding. So you ask questions. But there's people that deliberately come in and all they want to do is just debate. And then they they just sow discord amongst the brethren. So we got to be careful with people like that, and that we ourselves, if we have that attitude, to take it out. I used to be one like that too. I didn't come with a gracious spirit. I just came in with a know-it-all spirit, and that was wrong of me. But God hates that. It's not something, oh, well, that's just my personality. God hates that. All right, next verse. My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not your mother's teaching. All right? All right, so here Solomon's telling him, look, don't forget your mother and father's commandments. He's not talking about God's commandments here. He's saying, look, your mother and father are going to give you some instructions in this life. Don't reject it. And I'm talking about godly mothers and fathers. I'm not talking about the wicked parents. If you got a godly mother and father and they're telling you about things in this age, listen to them. Don't be like, whatever. I don't think so. Here Solomon is saying, don't forsake their commandments. Next verse. Bind them in your heart always. Not only your mother and father's, but God's. Bind them in your heart always. Keep them in your heart. Not only on Sunday. You got to make sure that these words are in your heart. Tie them around your neck. Not just, tie them. Like this tie. Tie them around your neck. Next verse. When you walk, they will lead you. See, if you bind them around your neck, go back up again. When you bind them in your heart and tie them around their neck, what's going to happen? When you walk, they will lead you. See, that's why it's important you get this word in you. Because if you have it in you, it'll lead you. You'll know where to go. When you lie down, they will watch over you. Wisdom will watch over you because you've been wise. When that wicked man comes looking for somebody to hunt out, he'll walk by you. Why? Because wisdom has been protecting you. Because you are wise enough to say, what? I shouldn't flaunt my wealth. You know what? I got this this gun ready. So wisdom will watch over even when you're lying down. And when you wake up, they will talk with you. When you're really in tune with God, his commands will always be talking back to you. Every situation, it'll be like, whoa, wait, God said this. I shouldn't be going, I got to go this way. I got to navigate this way. It'll talk to you. So that's a beautiful thing, but you got to get it in you first. Next verse, 23. For the commandment is a lamp and the teaching is a light. Right? So that's the way you got to view God's commandments. That it's a lamp and the teaching a light. You're not in darkness anymore. You're not blind anymore. Now listen to this. And the reproofs of discipline are the way of life. In other words, as a believer, we should be willing to receive correction. That should be your life. You should be like, if you could show me in this Bible, I'm gonna do it. You'll accept reproof. Not like, well, that's your opinion. Well, this guy said, no, you'll be like, okay. Because that's your life. That's your life. That should be your life. Verse 24. Now he's going to switch to a topic about an adulterous woman. All right? To preserve you from the evil woman. Let me tell you. See, this is what I'm saying. If you're simple, especially as a man, if you're simple and you have no knowledge, when the evil woman comes your way, you're not going to be preserved. That's why you need wisdom, because she will preserve you from the evil woman. If you have no wisdom, you're not going to be preserved. From the smooth tongue of the adulteress. You know, if you're really walking in God, there's going to come a woman in your path. She's going to talk smooth to you, bro. I'm talking to the guys. She's going to talk smooth. She's going to be like, oh, you're so great. You're so wonderful. If you don't have any wisdom, you're going to fall for it. You're just going to fall for it because you're like, oh, wow, this is so flattering. I feel so good. You know, my wife doesn't give me this attention at home like she does. If you don't have wisdom to preserve you, that smooth tongue is going to get you. Next verse, 25. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. In other words, look, the adulterer, I'm talking to the guys. Look, the adulterer is not going to be some old sea hag. She's going to be very beautiful. And you're going to want to desire her beauty in your heart. But wisdom is saying, don't do it. She's very beautiful, but don't desire her beauty in your heart. And do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. You know what? Let me read that part again. And do not let her capture you with your eyelashes. Give me the next image. I noticed that a lot of women, they like to do their eyes. You know, they really, why? I mean, some might do it because they just want to look better than, but there's an enticement of that woman to draw a man. Give me the next slide. I remember the story about Jezebel when she was about to die. You know, there was a usurping going on. You know, the king was overthrown, and she was the king's wife. She was the queen, and the soldiers are coming for her. But look what she did. Look, it said this. Now when Jehu, who was going to be the next king, had come to Jezreel, Jezebel heard of it. Okay, she heard he was coming. So what did she do? Did she grab a horse and dodge out of town? No, look what she did. And she put on paint on her eyes and adorned her head and looked through the window. Okay, why did she do that? Because she wanted to entice him. She wanted maybe to soften his heart. See, I'm going to paint my eyes. Her life, she knows she's in trouble, but that's what she did. So we got to make sure we have wisdom on this. Now, I'm gonna use a third source. Go to the video. You know, because a lot of, especially women, they're so self-deceived that they think that if they put on all these makeup and especially the eyelashes, that it's okay, you know, it's fine and there's no big deal. Now I want you to hear this man of the world who's being honest. All right, so if you don't believe me, you say, oh, that's your opinion, Domingo. Listen to what he said. All right, go ahead. Press play. Press the play button over there.
Men are different. Now, listen to me, Lynn. You may not like what I'm about to tell you, but because you don't like it, don't make it so. Now, this is just real talk now. Too many women break down too soon before they give it a chance. Now, that sounds messed up.
Talking about taking off the makeup.
That's because we messed up. Now,
it's real.
It's not you. Ladies, it's not you. He don't want you for your mind. He did not. No. Wait, listen to me. When we across the room at the club, we ain't looking over there at your mind.
We know that. Looking at my heart.
We do not walk across that room because of your mind.
I don't want the man at the club, though.
Huh?
I don't want the man at the club.
But listen to me.
I do.
However you listen to me.
No.
Listen to me. If you in line at a Starbucks on your lunch break downstairs on Wall Street, he walks up to you for one reason and one reason only.
Because you look good.
Because he saw what he liked and he got to come over here to see what it's going to take.
Yes.
If we want you, all right, look, we got to go to commercial.
Hey,
break.
it's not good. All right, so he even acknowledges when a woman adorns herself like that, they're trying to attract attention. Just like the adulterous woman, she's trying to attract attention. Give me the next verse. See, but the Bible makes it clear for the women of God that this is the standard. 1 Timothy 2:9. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, meaning, clothes that aren't that flashy. Of course, when we go through the Bible, if there's like a wedding, of course she could adorn herself. But I'm talking about every day, she should be in modest apparel with shamefacedness. This is what the King James says. Shamefaced. What is shamefacedness? It means there's nothing that she's doing to make it enhance or is who she is. In that video Steve Martin was talking about, he's talking about women that like to make themselves up, and how long before you take off the mask and then show the person you're with how you really look like. There's a second date, third date. The thing is, God says that a woman of God should always be who she is. There's a verse in one of the Jewish writings says that by the countenance of a person, you could tell if somebody's wicked. That sin will manifest. It'll make you either pretty or good. Now, if you're walking in the light, your face should shine. So if you're single, a man of God could see that glow. But if you keep on enhancing, that's not a characteristic of a woman of God. A woman of God should be shamefacedness, not like the adulterous woman with the eyelashes. Do not let her entice you with the eyelashes. Give me the next verse. For a prostitute will bring you to poverty. Okay? Men. Okay, he just made a statement here, but I'm gonna make it even more profound. Look, I know guys in the world that all they do is sleep with prostitutes. They go to strip clubs. They squander thousands of dollars. I remember hearing a guy who spent $50,000 and he was married behind his wife's back. A prostitute will bring you to poverty, guys. Don't be thinking, I'm just going to have some fun. They will bring you to poverty. Making it rain is going to bring you to poverty. But here's what Simon's saying. Okay, that's bad. But sleeping with another man's wife will cost you your life. The most deadliest thing for a man to do is to sleep with another man's wife. And don't get it twisted and be like, oh, well, they're divorced. Maybe in the courts, maybe in the eyes of the court, but not in the eyes of God, first of all. And second of all, you don't know the dynamics that's in their hearts. Maybe the wife left him and he didn't want her to leave him. And now he still has that oneness. But and you weren't here when I taught this to Maya. You got to understand, in 1 Corinthians 6, verse 16, it says this. Do you not know that he who unites himself with a prostitute is one body with her? For it is said, the two will become one flesh. When people have relations in God's eyes, is like a marriage. It's not a marriage, but the spiritual aspects are there. So when you meet people that have, for example, the baby mama drama stuff, that's because even though they're in total rebellion against God, not married, that spiritual dynamic is there. So if you, as a guy, says, you know what, they're broken up, so I'm gonna hook up with her. You might be one of these guys that it will cost you your life. You always hear about baby mama drama, people fighting, people shooting. You ever hear about, if you ever hear a guy that killed somebody and killed himself, you know they were in a relationship. So you got to be wise, men, especially young men that are single. You got to be wise. Say, you know what, is this woman, first, if she's married and quote unquote divorced, don't even mess with her, because that guy might still have emotions. But you also got to take into account that if she's been in a relationship with somebody and now you want to come into it, your life might be in danger. All right, give me the next verse. Can a man carry fire to his chest and his clothes not be burnt? Or can he walk on hot coals and his feet not scorch? So I'm asking rhetorical questions here. Of course not. Next verse. So is he who goes into his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. Look, don't mess around with somebody else's wife. Even if they separated, don't mess around with somebody else's wife, because you will not go unpunished. Give me the next verse. People do not despise a thief if he steals, to satisfy his appetite when he is hungry. So if somebody stole a loaf of bread because they were starving, they stole it but you don't despise him. You're like, you know what? He's hungry. I understand, But if that thief is caught, he will pay sevenfold. I mean, this is back in the old days. Nowadays, they let him go. But back in the days, if somebody stole something, even if he felt sorry for them, they will have to pay 7 times. He will give all the goods of his house. Even if he had to give up everything as a fine, he will have to give up everything. Next verse. But this is the flip side of those that commits adultery with another man's wife. He who commits adultery lacks sense. He who does it destroys himself. You're going to destroy yourself if you commit adultery. And this is why. Verse 33. He will get wounds and dishonor, and his disgrace will not be wiped away. He's going to get that. He's going to get wounds and dishonor because he's going to be found out. Everybody say, oh, you messed around with so-and-so's wife? And his disgrace will not be wiped away. Everybody look at him, oh, you're a home wrecker. But this is the thing. This is why. This is why it's dangerous. Give me the next verse. This is why. For jealousy makes a man furious. That is what's going to kill him. All right? And he will not spare when he takes revenge. He's not going to look for any middle ground. He will accept no compensation. He will refuse though you multiply gifts. So if you say, look, yeah, okay, I'm sorry, guy, I messed around your wife, but here's $10,000. He's not going to accept any compensation. Let's just say you had a Tesla and somebody crashed into you. And you say, you know what? I'm sorry. I'll buy you another Tesla. Or I'll buy you 2 Teslas. The guy could be appeased. He'll say, all right, I was angry, but hey, if you're going to give me 2 Teslas. But if you cheat on another man's wife, there is no recompense. That guy's going to kill you or at least hurt you really bad. So as men, we should be careful with any woman that one is married or even divorced, is married or divorced, quote unquote, because you don't know what's going on in that guy's head. But also, because of the wickedness of this time, you got to realize that if somebody's been in a long-term relationship with somebody and have kids, and now we broke up, so all my single ladies, you don't know what you're getting yourself involved in. You might be that guy that for jealousy makes a man furious. He's going to be very upset. He will not spare when he's going to take revenge. He will accept no compensation. You can say, oh, I'm sorry, guy. I didn't know. He's not going to accept nothing. You could give him 5 Teslas. He's not going to accept nothing. And he will refuse though you multiply gifts. All right? This is why it's important. Because I see a lot of Christians. I see a lot of people in the world. They get involved in these relationships and they don't know what danger they're in. So we'll stop there. But I hope that we continue. We don't just stop and say, okay, that was good. Because the book of Proverbs, really the whole Bible, but especially the book of Proverbs, it gives us a lot of situations. Like the first situation where we're like, oh, I just want to help my neighbor out or my coworker or my church member out. God says, don't do it. Or the guy who likes to make jokes, crack jokes and get all nasty. He's going to be broken. Or the sluggard, that, I just want to take a little break, a little sleep, a little slumber. Then you wake up, oh snap, I have no milk. No. When we go through the book of Proverbs, you realize as believers, we got to be diligent. The book of Proverbs, wisdom does not like laziness. Wisdom loves diligent hands. We got to be diligent people. And then the final thing about the adulteress, don't hook up. I don't care how beautiful she is. I don't care how smooth talking she is. I don't care how much she likes to, do like that. Watch out. Because if a husband finds out, even if she was provoking you, he's going to go after you. All right? So with that, we'll end there. All right. Anybody has a question?